Throughout the years, we've seen many different cartoons having all sorts of promotional tie-ins. Normally, most tie-ins involve toys and games to help advertise a product, but food tie-ins have been pretty big for a while. Over time, we've seen things like the SpongeBob Gummy Krabby Patties, the TMNT Pies, Scooby Snacks, Sonic the Hedgehog Pasta, Nintendo Cereal System, and Bootios. Lots of people have loved these snacks, but there's one other product that has been beloved by fans for decades, and that is the ice cream bars. And that's what I'll be talking about in today's video. It's a little different than what I usually cover, but since it has to do with cartoons, I figured why not. So without further ado, let's jump right into it. Ah yes, the famous cartoon character ice cream bars. These things are, and have always been, a staple of every ice cream truck roaming the streets in the summertime. Or at least they were. Ice cream trucks don't really come around like they used to anymore. Packed with different flavors and of course, the gumball eyes to eat afterwards, these ice cream bars were a part of many people's childhoods, including mine. It was a universal experience, being a kid on a summer day, minding your business, hanging out with your friends, and then suddenly you hear that music from a block away. It gets increasingly louder, and you know exactly who it is. I remember constantly having to scramble and find whatever loose change I had on me so that I could buy something. Good times. But that's enough about the ice cream trucks. Blue Bunny, along with the Popsicle Company, were responsible for most of the famous cartoon character bars over the years. While some of them are still being produced to this day, sadly many of them have been long since discontinued. I'll be discussing some of these bars in no particular order. I most likely won't get to every single one, but mainly the ones everyone knows, so prepare to be hungry as we go through these frozen treats. Of course, I'll start off with the most recognizable and probably most popular of these ice cream bars, the SpongeBob Popsicle. I'm sure you've at least seen this thing once in your life. If you somehow haven't seen or eaten one of these, well, what have you been doing with your life? This fruit punch and cotton candy flavored pop has been a staple item on every ice cream truck out there. The SpongeBob Popsicle was first released in 2002 and is still being produced to this day. Unlike a lot of the cartoon character bars, SpongeBob can actually be found in stores. My local gas station always stocks these things, which is great, but I think most people know the SpongeBob Pop for one true reason, that being the eye placement. What gives this ice cream bars their charm is of course the often erroneously placed gumball eyes. If you Google the SpongeBob ice cream bar, you will most likely get images of completely messed up versions of the item. This is so hilarious that there's actual merchandise based on these bars. Just goes to show how much of an impact these simple treats have had on people. However, if you thought this was the only SpongeBob Popsicle that exists, well, as it turns out, there's a few other ones. There's this caramel and chocolate SpongeBob from Australia, and, it exists. There's this one which looks kinda neat despite the mouth placement, and, this one. Yikes. There's also this one which just kinda looks like the Tot from the Sonic Wacky Pack. Despite all of that though, the original SpongeBob Popsicle is still the most famous version there is. Unfortunately, not everything good about this bar lasted, because the new releases of the SpongeBob bar have since lost the gumball eyes, and they've been replaced with these tiny chocolate pieces. Definitely a downgrade since the gumball eyes were the whole selling point of these bars, but oh well. Even with the changes, it's still a good ice cream bar to have. I, along with many other people, still buy them to this day, as the bar itself is just that iconic. Anyways, on to the next one. Next to SpongeBob, I think the Sonic the Hedgehog ice cream bar is another very popular item. With how popular Sonic was in the 90s, it only made sense to market him in such a way that everyone would remember. And so, in 1995, the company known as Blue Bunny absolutely cooked, and we got this. Complete with gumball eyes, this was the Sonic the Hedgehog ice cream bar. With a blue raspberry and cherry flavor, this bar was a huge success. So after you finished eating your Sonic the Hedgehog pasta and having a drink from your Sonic drinking cup, you could have one of these for dessert. I believe the Sonic bar is still being produced to this day, but it isn't exactly easy to find. I'm sure you can order them online, but aside from that, I really don't know how else you can find these. As I mentioned earlier, ice cream trucks don't really come around anymore, and that was the main way to obtain one of these. But if you ever find one of these out in the wild, well, you have quite the luck. Needless to say, the Sonic bar is great. Much like the SpongeBob popsicle, Sonic has had a few changes in terms of design and packaging. The only real change surrounding the popsicle itself was the gumball eyes, as they were changed from black to green after modern Sonic was introduced. Though it seems the black gumball eyes managed to slip through from time to time. The most interesting part of this treat is the many versions of the packaging. The original packaging was simple and in line with the standard Sonic the Hedgehog branding at the time, but after that we got this. Packaging based on the cancelled video game Sonic Extreme. This was very strange to see, and even weirder that certain ice cream trucks apparently still use that picture. After that, it was rebranded into an adventure-era style packaging, which looked nice. Then there was the Sonic X packaging, which was my favorite. And then we got an even more modern style of packaging, and this is the current style that is being used. I'm surprised there wasn't any Prime or movie-themed packaging so far. The Sonic ice cream bar has also become iconic to the point where there's merchandise based on it. There's even a giant scented plush available as I'm saying this. I've eaten one of these before, and yes, I still have the wrapper for it. It tasted pretty good. And of course, this ice cream bar suffered from the strange eye placement, but again, that's what made them cool. Another great item. On to the next entry. Of course the Looney Tunes would have a presence in the ice cream world. Blue Bunny was once again given the task of turning the well-known Looney Tunes characters into frozen treats, in which they did. They produced Bugs Bunny, Tweety, Roadrunner, Taz, and Marvin the Martian. I'm not sure if all these are still being produced. I know the Bugs Bunny bar lasted a while, and it might still be around, but let's look at these bars for a second. Bugs Bunny looks good enough. Taz looks good. Marvin is alright. Roadrunner looks a bit off. I get Rayman vibes from him. And then there's Tweety, whose eyes are completely wrong. Why are they orange? They are clearly white on the pictures. How did they mess that up? I've never personally tried these, mainly because I was too focused on finding the Sonic bars, but I'm sure they were probably good. And I think Looney Tunes might be the only franchise to have that many character ice cream bars. I could be wrong though. Not much else to say here. On to the next entry. Okay, I want to talk about this one. I had a personal experience with the Spider-Man ice cream bar. It was 2014, during the summertime. 10-year-old me was outside playing with friends and whatnot when I heard an ice cream truck approaching. I quickly ran and got some money to buy an ice cream. Unfortunately, this truck didn't have what I was looking for, which I'll discuss later, but I spotted a Spider-Man popsicle at the last minute and bought that instead. From the picture, it looked like it would taste good, right? Not at all. I took one bite out of it and threw it away immediately. It tasted like Tylenol. I don't know if I just had a bad one, but the taste was beyond repulsive. That was the first and last time I ever tried a Spider-Man popsicle. So, yeah, I didn't like that one. On to the next entry. This will be an umbrella entry for ice cream bars based on other Nickelodeon characters but have long since been discontinued. Let's go through them. We'll start with the Jimmy Neutron popsicle, which was released in 2002. The flavor chosen was cherry cola and ice. The design looks pretty accurate for an ice cream bar, especially considering Jimmy Neutron is a CGI character. Sadly, there are next to no in-hand images of the popsicle when it was around. It sounded like it would have tasted good. In 2003, the Popsicle Company released this Cosmo popsicle from the Fairly OddParents, and this is the one I was trying to find before I bought the Spider-Man popsicle I mentioned earlier. The flavor chosen for this pop was strawberry and lemonade flavored ice. Interesting combination. Now I cannot seem to find out when these went out of production. It seems the Cosmo bar was discontinued way before the show was cancelled. It must not have been selling too well if that's the case. And once again, there are no in-hand images of the popsicle. This is a recurring theme with these more obscure entries. Much like Fairly OddParents, Danny Phantom was popular enough to warrant a popsicle. Released in 2005, I think, this popsicle was flavored blue raspberry, strawberry, and lemon flavored water ice. I'm assuming this was discontinued once Danny Phantom ended. At least this time we have an in-hand picture of the bar, granted the quality is poor. Another cool looking pop. For this part, I'll just do a lightning round of the many superheroes that popped up in the ice cream form over the years, except for Spider-Man, since I already talked about that one earlier. Let's begin. Batman. Cherry flavored. Looks pretty good. I believe this one's still being made. Captain America's shield. Cherry and lime. I didn't expect much from this one as it's just the shield, but they captured it well enough. The one gumball in the middle is funny for some reason. Bubbles. Just cherry. Probably one of Blue Bunny's best bars. They nailed the design. Ninja Turtles. All 4 of the turtles were produced at some point, and even had different iterations made. They look nice despite the simplicity of the bar. Beast Boy. Hate this show, but at least they captured Beast Boy well enough. Iron Man. Very simple, but looks really bad in hand. But ugly Martians. Okay, so this one's actually interesting because for a long time no one knew if these actually existed or not. But turns out they actually did. A wrapper was discovered and a picture does exist. Granted, it's melted a bit. And lastly, the Eric Popsicle. 10 out of 10. Would buy another one. Okay, that was a joke, but do check out my animated short if you haven't already. In conclusion, these silly little ice cream bars were a part of many people's childhoods, and even adulthoods too. I'll still buy a SpongeBob popsicle here and there, and it's nice to see that these bars are still being produced. Even the discontinued bars have given people memories of the past. The ice cream bars are truly one of the most nostalgic treats of all time. Thank you for watching this video. Be sure to leave a like and hit that subscribe button for more content. Be sure to also check out my artwork and merch store linked in the description. I'll see you next time.